And we strapped in. Hey up guys, how we doing? Welcome back to the channel. Just leaving Penny Pot Cafe at Edale now. There we go. Ah, there we go. Okie dokie then. So we're just going to shoot up here. Shoot up here and turn round. Oh, righty then. Righty then. Do. There we go, we've turned round. There we are. They didn't have my sausage roll, so I've had a turkey salad in replacement instead of a sausage roll. Turkey salad sandwich on a white bread cake. With Sheffielders, we call them bread cakes, not bombs, not cobs, not baps. Sheffielders, the bread cakes, and that's it. And I've had something very similar to a instead of a funfetti cookie, which are basically, it's, you know, white chocolate. I've still had like a white chocolate cookie, which is basically, that's what a funfetti cookie is, but just on top, instead of like this, like the funfetti sprinkles, it's basically named as a white chocolate Biscoff cookie. So just on top, instead of funfetti sprinkles, it's being replaced with like well, you know, Biscoff the biscuit, you know, Biscoffy biscuit. And a bit of, I think, biscoffy sauce as well, I think, inside it as well, actually. Inside the cookie, I think, if I weren't mistaken. It's not just all pure white chocolate, but yeah, they put a good twist on it, so I've had that. And just with a can of nice, no, not a can, a bottle, a plastic bottle of, Fanta. This like pinkish, reddish sort of like looking fizzy Fanta. I just fancied something to scratch my throat, do you know what I mean? I didn't want something smooth, I just weren't in the mood for something smooth today. I was just in the mood for something to like scratch my throat, you know, like fizzy pop. So yeah, I thought, why not? Only half enjoyment is actually the taste of whatever fizzy drink you've got. Of course it's the flavour, but in my opinion, to me, well, not just only in my opinion, no, but I mean even more stronger than that, but not just only my opinion, but personally to me, a good half enjoyment in fizzy pop is the fact that it's actually fizzy as well. So, you know, like a texture thing and not just like a flavour thing. I do like, you know, like some sharp bubbles scratching back of your throat. Yeah, I do like some short bubbles scratching back of your throat, I do. A nice fresh fizzy scratchable pop. Slightly different action camera setting change. So this time, just before I've like press record, I've been messing about with settings through app on my phone, on my mobile phone, you know, messing about with drift settings and stuff. And instead of the video filter vivid, I put it on normal. The ISO I've put on auto and not 100. That's what it's all about, experimenting. You've got to experiment. Irrelevant regardless of whatever action camera make and model you've got. You know what I mean? Whatever make and model you've got. Whether if it's a DJI, you know what I mean? Whether if it's any what I call and what us motovloggers call the top main three, the top big three. Whether if you've got a DJI, GoPro, or Insta360, or whether if what I call what I'm about to mention, sort of like you're definitely good enough to motovlog with. Definitely good enough to motovlog with. What I call I call them like your borderline entry level motovlogging cameras. So drift for one, whether if you're talking XL Pro or even 4K Plus, or whether if you're talking like for example, I don't know, like shall we say a cross tow, maybe something like that, I don't know. But yeah, you know, like what I've always called in classes like your border, your entry level borderline, but still over that threshold good enough to motovlog with. You've still got to experiment with settings in, you know what I mean, from your cameras. It's good, it's exciting, it's good, that's what it's all about, experimenting through all settings and stuff like that, do you know what I mean? Well, I don't know when last time it is I came here, but them double, I was going to say double yellow then, being on autopilot, but they're red, aren't they? Not even yellow, but them double red lines are new to me. I don't know when last time I came here on bike, or even in car, but I'm sure them double red lines weren't there before last time I came out here. Unless if they were, but I weren't really consciously like paying attention to specific left hand side at road there, so I wouldn't have really seen them, other than paid attention to them, you know. But yeah, anyway, I've this is just sort of like maybe a little tip for you, so to speak. I don't know if any of you already do know this with what I'm about to say, whether if you've you know, like for example, if like you've been out there on your bike and you've put to the test that I'm about to mention, but for yourself instead of me having to tell you. So you might have actually already been out there, beat me to a punch, beat me to it. You might have already been out there before on your bike and done what I'm about to mention, the slap bang same test that I'm about to mention. And I'll tell you as well, it's important for me to tell you how it all came about and all, not just what I've done, but also why I thought about doing it, as in, for example, like I just said, how it all came about, so to speak. So first of all, I've used the bang same camera, right, to get that very, very, very fair comparison. So I use the Drift Ghost XL Pro, the one that we are seeing now, viewing now. OK Plus, not XL Pro, just the Drift Ghost XL. It only went up to a standard HD, you know, 1080p. So anyway, and I've always had the micro SD memory card ever since then. I think I've had it for at least 4.5, if not 5 years now, and it's not even a V program function, you know, class micro SD memory card. It's something what you want to call a U3, an Ultra 3, and I think it might be a C10 as well. I think it might say C10 on it. It's at the most, at the maximum, it's only as good as, basically, on paper, the definition of what U3 and Ultra 3 can cope and handle with. Well, supposedly on paper. So I've not, you know, it might say C10 on it, like I said, I don't know. But what it were is, I went out on a ride, and also as well with my Delkin, my American Delkin V90. Yep, and my American Delkin V90 micro SD memory card. So, which are on paper, if you want to look at it on paper, they are absolutely polar opposite extremes to each other. They're two and far between in terms of like the actual on paper quality. You know, in terms of what FPS frames per second and resolution they can actually cope with and suffice. So it's only a 50 on here, not a 60. So I went out, and what I did is first of all I went out and I recorded a ride with the low grade SanDisk memory card. Even though yeah, it is a good top quality brand, SanDisk, but it's like 5-6 years old. It is still only like it is only a U3, Ultra 3, maybe even a C10 as well, which is the C class, even lower than you know, Ultra. So I went out, well, yeah, supposedly on paper. So I went out with SanDisk and I recorded it in a 2.7K with the low grade SanDisk, the Ultra 3, on a 60 FPS, so 60 frames per second. So I went out and I did that. I pulled over, had a rest, pulled over somewhere, had a tea or coffee or whatever, I had something to eat. I changed some memory cards around, I swapped memory cards around, so I put the very high grade, well, yet again, supposedly on paper, so they say, the high grade Delkin micro SD memory card in Drift Course XL Pro, same action camera. I went out and I put it on a standard HD, so a 1080p, still at 60 though FPS, 60 frames per second. I'll tell you how it all came about then, right? So I said to my girlfriend, it right annoys me that, it bugs me, because whenever I watch a video, right, that I've recorded, I mean, off my action camera, on our ultra high definition, our UHD 4K, you know, smart telly, yeah, smart television, it's always much more immensely better than watching the bang same video, obviously recorded, in bang same setting and everything, because hence the reason, obviously, with it being the bang same video, right, it's always way better than viewing it on my actual PC monitor. So my PC monitor only goes up to, it's only a 2.7K PC monitor, right? It's not a 4K PC monitor, but it's a 2.7K PC monitor. In actual fact, it's a 1440p. So, but our like HD telly, our telly is a smart telly, a smart TV, and a UHD, a ultra high definition 4K telly at that, and it's much bigger than PC monitor, obviously, as it's going to be. And my girlfriend said one thing to me, she said, well yeah, if you think about it, right, it always is going to look way better on like for one, a much more bigger screen, but for two, a much more bigger you know, pixel density of screen, but it's not that. More to the point, just the bigger the screen the better, because I forgot what she said now, but this might be even quite far off and quite loosely, me putting it very loosely, but to the best of my knowledge, the best that I can remember, she said something like, roughly, if you think about it, with a much more bigger screen, it's got like more pixels, more megapixel density, you know, more better like density megapixels on it, so it's got more of a much more bigger area surface to actually you know, like fulfill. Anyway, I know for a fact, me compared to my girlfriend, I've said that so wankly, I've said that so shitly, right? I bet if you were to have heard my girlfriend say it, my girlfriend could have just put that way more better, way more immensely better than what I've just put it. It just sounded so real and true when my girlfriend said it, but when I've just tried to say it, then it's like, I bet it's like, Nick, what the fuck you on about? I do get you, I get you gist, Nick, but fuck me. Next time, just bring your fucking girlfriend onto the channel, let her explain shit to us. But yeah, you know what I will do. But no, look, I'll try my best so I can explain it best I can. So anyway, I digress, going really back on track. So what it were is, I thought, right, maybe then, for when I'm recording a video in 2.7K at 60 FPS, 60 frames per second, right? For when I'm watching it, not downstairs on the smart telly screen, but for when I'm watching it upstairs on my PC monitor, right, it's probably looking nowhere near as bad. It's looking nowhere near as good on PC monitor, because maybe you've got it on too much of a high setting, Nick. So now we're really going back on track. So that's where the idea came from. So what I thought to be said, the thought process behind it were, so maybe it's too like less of a good quality PC monitor, maybe it's too poor of a PC monitor to withstand and cope with the overall like video setting resolution you're putting it on, especially even at FPS, the frames per second rate. So what it were is, the thought process behind it, guys, is I thought to myself, right, I'm going to go out and I'm just going to record a video in 1080p standard HD, right? And then I'm not going to watch that on our smart telly, ultra high definition 4K TV, because there'd be no point. Of course it's still going to look much more immensely better on there. So I thought, I'm going to watch it only on PC monitor. Plus obviously I'm still going to watch back the 2.7K at 60 FPS, 60 frames per second that I've recorded, you know, as well on this, you know, on the SanDisk. So this 1080p, I recorded it off the Delkin, the much more high grade one. And maybe I thought, maybe I've got too less of a quality of a micro SD card as well, for 1080p standard HD to be able to cope with it. Hence the reason why I recorded the 1080p even on a very high grade V90 Delkin micro SD memory card. So I thought, right, I'm really going to push it now with no off measures and put it to real test. So anyway, that's what I did. Anyway, I came back and I watched both videos over. I do noddy nod. So basically, I made a video. I went through all rigmarole and kerfuffle of putting it through Filmora on my piece of video editing software, you know, just like I would. And then, you know, I saved it as unlisted first for a good couple of few hours on YouTube before uploading it on YouTube. It went through all process, all checks. Well, they both did actually, so they both did. So they went, you know what I mean. So finally I put it on YouTube, but I only kept it as private for me to see, yeah. So I only put it on private for me to see. Anyway, nah, we're not good at Yonderman Cafe. You know what, we'll go right. Yeah, I don't want to go straight on to Yonderman. Yeah, let's avoid Yonderman, just let's go straight on. Past Monselhead. Past the good old Monselhead. So I went out, I did that, came back in, did both videos. YouTube, rigmarole, full process, YouTube, everything. Put them on, kept them as private. Anyway. So I thought, right. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I can talk, can't I? I've got a need to talk. But basically, to sum it up in a nutshell, the end verdict and end conclusion were what I thought was logical and what I thought what I thought was logical wasn't logic at all. It didn't work out like that. The end verdict and conclusion and end result were, it didn't work like that, do you know what I mean? And putting my theory to test, that's the point in it, the key word being theory. Right, it clearly was only a theory test. It was just a theory. And what I thought was logic, it clearly weren't, because the end verdict and end conclusion of it, guys, were, right, even for up PC monitor, right, by putting it on a standard HD, a 1080p, through a much more immensely high grade V90 proper American Delkin micro SD memory card. Oh yes, and by the way, in which case, yes, they'd both been formatted successfully and properly. They'd both been formatted, yes. But by putting, by recording a 1080p, a standard HD video in a much more really ultra high processed micro SD memory card, V91. So therefore my point is you can't blame it on the micro SD memory card by saying, well, it's no wonder it looks blotchy, grainy, pixelated off road when you're looking at road ahead, because you're trying to put it on too much of a high setting for micro SD memory card to cope with and put up with. So at least we can't say that, so there's no excuses, because for that type of memory card, that V90 Delkin, it's meant for even 4K, right? Never mind about even 2.7K, it'd laugh at. But to say a 1080p standard HD, it probably just wouldn't even laugh at that. It just, you know what I mean, just feel sorry for it, but still perform very highly. So my point is after watching them both back, the 1080p, the standard HD, on a V90 Delkin micro SD memory card, compared to putting a video on a 2.7K at same FPS frames per second rate, which is 60, but through what you thought on paper would not be good enough for it, a micro SD card would not be good enough for it, through putting that video setting on a really low grade SanDisk, you know, my Ultra 3 micro SD memory card, have a guess which one were better then? Have a guess which one were better? I'll tell you. Believe it or not, it even looked even way more better on a 2.7K at 60 frames per second through a very like low spec, low grade U3 Ultra 3 micro SD memory card. That even looked better than even a 1080p standard HD at 60 frames per second, but even through a much more immensely better of a high spec micro SD memory card. So by putting that sort of like test and theory to work, by putting that test to the test, or by putting that theory to test at work, it just shows you that, so basically the end verdict and the end conclusion is, guys, is it weren't even about having a really immense, really good high spec micro SD memory card, or not. For example, having a very old, not very old, but quite an old, but still a very low spec, low grade micro SD memory card. So my point is it's not even about the memory card. It just didn't. I do cyclist. Do you know what I mean? So it just didn't. But I would have thought it would be though. I honestly thought that were going to make a world of difference. I thought that were honestly going to make a huge world of difference. 1080p standard HD is going to look way more better than even a 2.7K. Because why? Because you're putting it through a much more high spec, immensely better micro SD memory card. No. And why would even a 2.7K look even better than standard HD 1080p for when you're putting it where on paper says it's too much of a low grade memory card for it to cope and handle with the video resolution setting you're putting it on? Nope. Totally not true. So it's still all about the actual overall resolution setting and FPS frames per second rate you are going to put it on. So ultimately what comes first before anything, what comes first is the fact that you're always going to get much more better quality, right? Not to do with the much more immensely high spec micro SD memory card you're going to use inside an action camera, but it's always going to look better for you, your overall video resolution setting, camera setting, for when you're going to be putting your camera on that much more higher of an overall resolution video setting. That's what comes first. Now, I'm not saying at all, right, that if you were to use bang same action camera, and bang same overall video resolution settings and FPS rate and all that lot, I'm not saying at all, right, that if you recorded two slap bang same identical uncanny resemblance videos but with two different memory cards, right, but by not changing the overall video resolution setting, I'm not at all saying that you know, that more lower grade memory card would be better than, for example, the high spec memory card, because no doubt you would probably see a difference, an overall more better of a difference in terms of overall quality if you were to use a more higher spec micro SD memory card than a more lower than that spec of a micro SD memory card. No doubt, as long as you don't change any settings at all, because no doubt the much more better one would give off a much more better look and a feel, an overall video resolution setting look than the lower grade one. But what I'm saying though is what comes first, even before the micro SD memory cards, is still the overall video resolution quality setting you are going to put your action camera on and record your videos in. That is what I'm saying. Clearly, I am not talking bollocks, I'm not talking shit, I'm not having stabbing dark guesses, I'm not just only like talking as if I know what I'm on about by using my logic, because clearly, as I've just been honest with you, and you know, by throwing my hands up in air metaphorically, by using an analogy, by putting my hands up in air, I've just been really humble, down to earth, grounded and honest with you, and honest with me sen, but I've just been impartial about it, and just so impartial and honest that clearly what I thought was logical and theatrical, if that's even a word, but you know what I mean, it clearly shows that when you go out and you're operating a like real true like boots on the ground operation, and not create some fragmented like story in your head, it just shows you that what you thought in your head before you put something to real true test was going to be the result. It just shows you that compared to the realistic boots on the ground real thing, you couldn't be more wrong. You couldn't have been more like further from truth. Do you know what I mean? So it just shows you. So I'm talking from an actual 100% pure real boots on the ground operation, so to speak, right, of a real true raw real life example through comparisons. So there we are, there we have it. So yeah, so I just thought I'd help you guys out with that one, in case you were ever just thinking about maybe going out, you know, like coming up with the same theory and logic in your own heads, and then getting on your bike, going out, doing what I've done, getting back and coming up obviously like you're going to do a bang same result and end verdict and end conclusion. It's just in case you were thinking about doing that just before you've seen this video. So just watch this video and listen to it properly first, Do you know what I mean? Because it'll save you from going out and putting the slap bang same identical uncanny resemblance of an example art to test. You know what I mean? So basically, I've saved you basically from doing that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, there we are, there we have it. You are, and I don't mean this sarcastically with what I'm about to say. I don't like sarcasm, I don't do sarcasm, but you are welcome in advance. Do you know what I mean? You're welcome in advance. It's been a pleasure. Just in case you are like a bit of a sort of like OCD action camera quality and action camera setting quality OCD nerd like me, just in case you're a bit of that action camera nerd, action camera OCD like quality setting nerd like me, just in case you were thinking about going, aha, I've had a light bulb moment, I'm going to go out and put this at test and do this and compare these. Hopefully you've watched and listened to this video first. So yeah, been a pleasure. Right guys, I'm going to leave it there. Remember, if you are riding, ride safe. Watch out for them other idiots out there on the road, them idiots. You've been with me, the Autistic Biker. Okay, it's been a pleasure. Please feel free about subscribing. Yeah, it really encouraged me to get me out there and do some more videos like this for you guys, and do you know what I mean? Thanks so much, do appreciate it. Right guys, take care and bye bye for now. Until then, I'll see you on the next one. See you guys, thanks, bye.